There's two kinds of enemies. There's the enemy that tells you exactly what they want to do to you. And then there's the enemy that infiltrates your group and works from within. The one that fills your head full of kind words and threatens your opposition and those kinds of things. And those are the more deadly enemies because most of the time we don't even see them until it's too late. And unfortunately, in the conservative Christian movement, there's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, a lot of people dressed as angels of light with hearts of darkness, a lot of Judas goats, and we don't want to admit it. They push things so far to the left under Trump's first term and under Biden's term that people feel like traitors if they even criticize the Trump administration, even when he's doing things that the left would have loved to do. So there's something there that people don't understand that's happening behind the scenes. I mean, if you think about it, a bunch of people in the administration are not conservatives and never were conservatives. They are just no longer identifying as Democrats. But not only that, I can tell you something that might help you to understand what I'm talking about here. Despite common thought, the conservative movement has become more liberal in a lot of ways, especially socially. I saw a tweet around the election, and it was some guy, I forget who it was now, it wasn't a big name, but he said, I'm proud to be a conservative because today conservatives are not just religious conservative Christians. You can snort cocaine off a hooker's back and still be conservative now that MAGA has taken over. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's almost exactly what he said. And man, many people were going on there and attaboying him. And that's the truth. Just because you no longer identify as a Democrat doesn't mean you have conservative or libertarian principles. It just means that perhaps the left went too far for you with some of their wacky social ideas and policies. But there's a big difference in somebody who's naturally conservative, respects the Constitution. I know the Constitution has problems, blah, 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 but still it's better than not having it. And there's a big difference there. So you see what I'm saying? Than liberals who've been lifelong liberals who just got fed up with the party on a few policies. And they're going to liberalize the party naturally. And it has been liberalized because Trump was never a conservative, openly admitted a couple of times at least that he's not a conservative. But people still see him as that because they see the left as going so far towards socialism, communism, and those kinds of things. So anyway, we need to start thinking differently. We need discernment because we are allowing these so-called conservatives to infiltrate our group. They're doing stuff like the Fabian Society taught early on in the 1800s or late 1800s, excuse me. They taught that you infiltrate these groups, all of them. It doesn't matter if it's a liberal, a conservative, whatever, you infiltrate them and you work your way from within. It's Fabian gradualism. Marx talked about the long march through the organizations or whatever he said. But that's what they're doing. That's what they've been doing. But even if they're not doing that, these administrations, and specifically this one is no different than any other, maybe a little worse, is filled with opportunists. They're filled with opportunists who are using their positions to better themselves and to better the people that back them. There's tons of bureaucrats in the administrations. Who knows who they're loyal to? There's a lot of dual citizens out there that are working in the United States government that supposedly represent us, but we can tell more and more, they're being pretty open about it, a lot of them, that they don't actually represent us, that they represent their lobby, they represent their donors, they represent a foreign government, a foreign nation, a foreign religion for that matter. And it's just about people not willing to wake up and realize that they're not going to be saved by politics. These politicians aren't going to come to save you. You've been screwed over. You've been fooled. You've had the wool pulled over your eyes. You've been hoodwinked, and you don't want to admit it. But at some point, you're going to have to admit it, because at this stage, you're just supporting another evil. It's not even the lesser of two evils anymore. It's another evil. And if you want to live your life that way, that's just fine. But understand that we, this small remnant, are going to be calling you and the people you support out at every turn as long as we can, and exposing your hypocrisy and exposing you giving up your principles so you can support politicians. Cheers and blessings, guys. And remember, their order is not our order. See ya.